Hello, welcome to the LFC Transfer Room post-match stream. Pretty solid 3-0 win for Liverpool against Brentford at home. Um, great start to my Sunday morning, but how's everyone doing? How's everyone's overall thoughts? We'll start with Kings. What did you think of the game, and how are you doing?
Doing well. Nice to chat to you all, guys. I thought overall, Liverpool dominated the game and more than easy enough. And you know, first 10 minutes or so, I suppose they had a couple of chances with Pinnock maybe, and things could have been slightly different. But once we got going, that was it. To be honest, we totally dominated the game enough, especially as the game wore on as well. Happy with 3-0. That takes us up into second place. Only just behind City, so if they lose, well, happy days as well.
Yeah, if they lose by 3-0, it'll be quite interesting to see us top of the table. Definitely after the last two games we've had.
Yeah,
Dan, how
yeah,
you doing, and
definitely.
what are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, really good. Brentford's always a tricky one. I still always go back to that first game against them away in the first season they were up, and we dropped points in that 3-3 sort of barrage game. So I get those feelings of like, let's just get this out the way, let's get a good result, and it's exactly what we did. Started off a little bit sort of, can we just start speeding things up a little bit? I thought we were a little bit slow to begin with, but Nunez put the ball in the net twice, didn't count. But then obviously he was involved in that first one, and then from there on in, it was a really good, well controlled game, especially before the internationals. Something we needed, just to kind of get ourselves in that position again. Of we are Liverpool. I know we've lost and dropped points in the last two matches, but we're back onto it now, and we're second in the Premier League. And I think a lot of our rivals and some of our own fans wouldn't have expected us to be even close to where we are. But I'm absolutely made up. Really pleased.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing to see where we are, given how much change there was in the summer. And Aaron, last to checking in overall thoughts. How you feeling this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are?
Yeah, pretty good. I think it was exactly what was needed after the last, two performances, just to kind of, bring everybody back to remember. Yeah, like Dan said, like we're Liverpool. It's been a great start to the season, regardless of the last two results. I think we just need to all remember how far we've come in such a short space of time with such big change to the squad. So, second in the table, right up there challenging early on the season still, but I don't think you can ask for much more, especially considering all the circumstances with injuries and everything. So very solid performance, typical Anfield, Liverpool, weekend game, nothing outrageous. So very happy.
Yeah, I agree. You can't really ask for much more than being fighting for first place at this point in the season. And go back to some more. We'll go over some more specific points in the game for a recap. Get your questions in the comments. We really appreciate everyone who's watching. Vase of Flowers and Hilo, there's some regulars in here. Vase of Flowers, I'll get to your point, what Goldberg said a little later in the stream when we get to it. But I wanted to go back to what you commented on in the first 10 minutes when we had a bit of a few nervy moments, especially I think it was Mbuemo who got played through, and Allison came up with a big save early on to keep the score 0-0. Do you think that's just like what part of the game, or did you see any like defensive frailties in the midfield or in defense? Are you overall happy with how we were when Brentford came at us?
Sorry, I didn't. It broke up slightly. Is that for me? Was that, yeah?
Yeah, Kings.
I think when they had their chance, I think when Pinnock nearly scored, and then from there we kind of like, I think we were a bit shocked at first, and then kind of like, well, right, we're playing at home as usual. We've got to make it more of an effort, and I think they started then to find their feet a little bit. Um, Obviously Nunez, couple of chances, which I don't know about you guys. The first one, I wasn't sure it was offside. To be honest, it was to me that because they don't draw the lines anymore, you don't quite see it 100% at the angle. And I was just like, I'm not sure. I didn't think it was. So I think it's, he seemed to then come alive. He was very hungry today. And I think that set the tone then for the game moving forward. He was creating and looking to get on the score sheet. So I was quite impressed how they kind of like reacted from the initial first 5-10 minutes of the game and then moved on.
Yeah, it definitely was. Nunez is probably the one who feels hard done by most for not getting on the score sheet. Well taken first goal, and then that overhead kick was quite spectacular, even from close range.
The good thing, it didn't put him off.
Yeah.
He carried on, he tried, and he kept making an effort, and obviously ultimately setting up Salah later on. But he didn't knock his confidence that much. It didn't seem anyway.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's really nice to see his tenacity and energy he puts in the games week in, week out.
Yeah.
Here, I want to bring up the question or the point that Vesa Flower said earlier. Mark Goldbridge, I'm assuming he's talking about, just said that Endo should have been sent off. We'll move on to Dan talking about the midfield three and overall encompassing. I feel like
right. Sorry, I'm just laughing. If he's saying about he should have been sent off for that tackle, let's just not play football anymore, shall we? He's gone in for the tackle. The referee's seen it directly. He spent the next 2 minutes watching it on VAR to try and work out if it's another red card for Liverpool, because that's how it seems to be every single week. It is another red card. And it was a tackle between two players. The referee's seen it. He's watched it with his own eyes. He's no further than me to, the car's length, probably at the most. And for some reason, they now need to re-referee the game and go, hang on a minute, I don't know if you got that right, Paul. And let's just sit here for the next 5 minutes like this. Just referee, tell us what you saw. You didn't think it was a foul. You thought it was two players going for a ball and the ball's popped out. And that's a fine way to deal with the game. We don't need to re-referee matches based on situations like this. In fairness, yeah, he seemed to get away with not getting yellow cards because McAllister, I said in the chat before, McAllister would have had about 9 yellow cards this match, a court summons, and probably been extradited back to Argentina for the amount of fouls that Endo got away with. But that's just how it is today. Midfield-wise, it was a bit strange because Soberslai's been a little bit kind of off his special boil that he's been on for the last few, but there was actually a stat that I read which was quite surprising. Before this game started, Soberslai's played 72% of his minutes that he's played last season already. So he's already playing an awful lot more football than he's ever been used to. So to be fair, this isn't surprising. And he's not going to get much of a break when he plays for Hungary. So I'm not faulting him because this is probably something that was expected. He's not quite that super special source, but to be fair, he's still involved. He's still passing. He's still running. He's doing everything you expect him to do. So yeah, he was fine. Endo, I mean, he's not the DM destroyer, the 6 anyone really wanted because he can't slide tackle. And to be fair, he's not really got the mobility either. He's a good enough player. He costs 14 million quid and he's happy to be here. And I think sometimes you just have to have players who are that happy. Gakpo kind of having to jump in back into midfield, which is where he started, obviously, in the season. And he was fine. Again, there's nothing spectacular about his performance or any of the midfield performances that I can kind of point out because a lot of the best performances came from going forward and our forward attacking players and in defence. Because, I mean, we'll go on to the defenders who are exceptional today. Van Dijk is unbelievable. He's back to where he was, and there's no question about it. So, yeah, our midfield was more than capable of living up to that threat that Brentford had. They're very physical midfield, Christian Norgard and whatnot. You can put a tackle in. And I think they did well enough. It was a game that could have been a banana skin, and we got through with it in the end. But yeah, no, I'm pleased enough with our midfield, and hopefully when we come back after the internationals, we're going to have our first choice midfielders back again, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think starting first with the Endo challenge, I think Mark Goldbridge, is probably upset with and most fans as well are upset at the inconsistency of what's a red card these days. Because, yeah, I agree. Like for me, that was 100% not a red card. But I wouldn't have been surprised if VAR told him to look at it and he got a red card, judging from some of the ones we've seen this season. But moving on, that's an interesting stat about Szoboszlai. It's definitely, and just in general, it's not always the case where when Klopp brings someone in that they jump right into the team right away and they're playing every single game. I know you have the exceptions like Van Dijk and Diaz, but some players take more time to bed in. But Szoboszlai has been amazing, and for me, it was refreshing to see this midfield three, like I said, it's the most important thing at the end of the day. But Aaron, we'll go on to you. Title of the video is Tsimikas, best left back in the world. How do you think he played today, and what did you think of the defense overall?
Yeah, I thought for a somewhat makeshift back four, I thought they were brilliant today. Matip, I think, even after getting that yellow card, which is one of the most ridiculous decisions I've ever seen, the fact that he got a yellow card for that in the first half, I thought he was brilliant. Van Dijk is he's just been, since the start of this season, I think he's really been back to what we know of Virgil van Dijk. But yeah, Tsimikas, I thought he was great today. Going forward, I think the one thing Tsimikas we've known from him is obviously he has his problems going backwards, but he can always put a good ball into the box. He has a good left foot and he can cross the ball. And I actually saw him playing for Greece. They played here in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, and Ogbene gave him a terrible time. Now, we've seen Ogbene last week for Luton. He's a good player. Gave him a terrible time. And then Tsimikas went up and put a peach of a cross in, and Greece ended up winning 2-0. So I think you're going to have those problems defensively, but he offers us enough going forward that in these games where we're quite comfortable for the most part and the rest of the back four are playing pretty well, he's a fine deputy for Robertson. I think he's had a lot of, shit thrown his way the last couple of weeks, especially, after the mistake in the Toulouse game, but I think he's a competent backup left back and he's fine to have there. I mean, obviously he's not Robertson, and when Robertson's back he won't start, but I'm happy enough to have him there now. And I mean, we don't really have any other options to actually play there, so best left back in the world might be a bit of a stretch, but today he was brilliant.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's always the case. What's that saying? You don't know what you have until it's gone, kind of thing. With Robertson, I feel like since he's playing mostly every match, he can get a lot of criticism for what he does wrong. But when he's out, you miss him. And then Tsimikas, on the other hand, he's not playing week in, week out, so it might take him a second to get his legs beneath him. And he's a deputy for a reason. So, quality performance today. Hopefully, he continues to fill in for Robertson in the vein he did today. And let's see, going back to Kings, what was your favorite goal? If you want to walk through the three goals and what your favorite goal was, who were you impressed by most?
I'd probably say the first one was my favorite. One, because we just needed the goal, I think, just to kind of, settle us down. Really good setup by Darwin Nunez to play that through to him. Lovely touch. And that's going back to what I said earlier. He didn't lose the faith today. He didn't let his head drop. He kind of like, well, I still want to create then. And isn't it something like the last 7 goals that Mo Salah scored, they've been set up by Darwin Nunez. So it just shows that just because he's not scoring every single game, he's part of the team now and he's setting up and he's really starting to make himself feel at home, I suppose, and gaining confidence all the time. He deserved a goal today, to be fair. I think, especially first half, he was really in the game and really at them. And yeah, well, he didn't get one, but he did set up Mo for the first one, and I thought, well, it was a cracking setup, and then Mo, obviously, as he always does, just took it in his stride and straight in. Fantastic goal, and I think that settled the nerves a bit then. And then we grew even more from there, obviously, to push on and try and do more in the game. But yeah, it was just nice to get that feeling of finally it's gone in and we're ahead now.
Yeah, it's not often that we score the first goal, and of late, or that was a big problem last season as well. So definitely nice to get the first goal and steady the ship a bit, especially against a team like Brentford, where we know they can cause problems. Dan, what was your favorite goal, and what about it made it your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I mean, with what Kings has just said, I mean, the way that goal was created was lovely because it was from our creators. Trent Alexander-Arnold plays a lovely ball into Darwin, and he takes that first time, plays that look pass just perfectly, and Salah finishes in a way that we're accustomed to. And it was a goal which I actually, funnily enough, to put it up against as to what happened yesterday when United played against Luton, it reminds me very much simply of one of those goals that you can kind of we can be victim of trying to always make a goal kind of quite mechanical. but this time it felt quite fluid, the way that we played the ball in, and it's gone in there and it's all reactionary, like that's it. Oh, here's the ball, here's the pass, and he's played it first time, just using that natural technique and ability that he has. I know where Salah's going to be. I'm going to put it right onto him, and it was fantastic as the way that he's taken that goal as well, Salah, because he could have snatched to that with his right foot, and instead he's been able to take a touch and coolly put that in the bottom corner. And it is really important because having had 2 goals, kind of ruled out for VAR, and sometimes that can work against you. You feel like, oh, well, the goal's going to come now because we've put the ball in twice. It can sometimes work against you because you can start getting that mentality of it's not going to happen. And, we kept working, we kept fighting. And instead of getting to half time, which is what Brentford were looking for, was to keep it at 0-0, weather the storm, we were able to get through to them, which then impacted the way that they could play the game going forward. They couldn't, just sit back and say, oh, go on, Liverpool, you have the ball. We'll try and counter you, because in fairness, we'd have been happy just to keep that ball in our midfield and defence. I have to say as well, one thing, not quite as much, but the second one was something which it just goes to show, doesn't it? And this is something which I don't understand from professional footballers, because anyone who's played football at any level, as a child or at school or wherever, you play to the whistle. That's what the referee says. So why is everyone throwing their hands up, pretending the game's finished? If the referee's not blown, keep playing. Because ultimately, if you save the ball and it was off the pitch or offside, then fine, okay, no harm done. But instead, they've basically gifted us a second goal, which Salah took really well, by the way, with his head, which he doesn't score many of. And he's put that in there, and he was in the right place at the right time. But it just shows that mentality as to how important that is to stop relying on referees and VAR, to like protect you from something happening. And it's on the players on the pitch to stop that goal even going in, which they could have then, looked back on and said, oh, do you know what? How brilliant were we there? That was in, that wasn't off the pitch. And we got that goal, and that was fantastic. But yeah, no, really, really pleased with the way that Salah was today, because I don't think he was at his scintillating best, but he was still able to get the goals, which was fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. The way he took the first goal was just smooth, calm, and in the corner. The second goal too. Yeah, I was very surprised that Ben Mee threw his hands up and was just kind of looking at the refs with the ball still in the air. From my perspective, seeing the replay, it was like he could have got across and at least got his body in the way of the clear header that Salah had in the end. But I'm not complaining at the end of the day. But Aaron, do you have a favorite goal of the 3 that isn't the first, or is the first one your favorite as well?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the first one again, just because I think that's the goal that we expect, the type of goal we expect this team to score. I think with the way the system is, you want, whether it's Nunez finishing it in a different scenario or, with Salah today, we know kind of our main creativity point is still going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold stepping into midfield and playing that pass. It's just a direct pass into one of the front 3 and then the little flick through. It's what we want from those front 3, and with Trent, beginning that move. I think the more of those type of goals going forward, the better, because it's not really, we're not relying, on an individual moment or, somebody just dragging something, Salah dragging us through with a great individual goal, or Szoboszlai with a banger. It's a team goal that comes from basically the system, which is always a good sign to be scoring as many of those goals as possible. I think that's what we lack when in the likes of the Europa League games, when it's not the same personnel on the pitch. I think it goes that we're missing that a little bit, and it's more relying on, individual quality, which we should have enough of for those games, against the likes of Toulouse to get through them. But I think today that's, a goal where everybody plays their part, and we're not relying on a specific player to drag us through. And then I see a lot of comments in the chat about Gakpo in the 10. I think it wasn't, a quintessential 4-2-3-1, but just naturally Gakpo is going to step into that position. It's still a 4-3-3, but being an attacker, he's going to, be in that position a lot more. And I think he played very well today. He didn't get involved in a goal, but he did what he was kind of put there for. It's not his best position, but he did exactly what was needed of him today. And I think going forward, it's good to have that option there. I don't think you want that, for a big run of games, having Gakpo in the midfield, but it's a good option to have, and it gets, more attacking players on the pitch, which for home games especially, I think it's what we all want to see.
Yeah, again, like your point about the the kind of build up team goal for the first goal. I think for me that was like a quintessential Jurgen Klopp like goal where Matip won the ball in the midfield, especially after the yellow card earlier. Wasn't afraid to get his foot in to win the ball, put it to Trent, and just the way it built up from there, which is quintessential Liverpool. So real nice to see. But for me, I'm gonna shout out Jota. There's a bit of a banter I have in the chat with some of the guys that he's a 6 out of 10 player, but scores almost every time he's on the pitch. But I really appreciated the third goal because I'm curious with this tight in the race with points. We know how close it can get with Man City at the end of the season. Goal difference could matter, but I really liked seeing individual quality as well. And Jota gave Tsimikas a second assist on the game was pretty funny for me. But as we wrap up the stream today, I just want to go through everyone's man of the match. So, Kings, we'll start with you. Who was man of match for you? And if there was anyone else who deserved a shout out, give them as well, and why.
Funny enough, tough one. I'll go with Darwin Nunez actually, because of the effort he put in. Salah scores 2 goals, and Mo Salah is, as we know, it's just Mo Salah. He does that week in, week out, pretty much. So you expect him most of the time when he gets the ball, he's going to score. I think Darwin just didn't let his head drop and really made an effort, I thought, today. Other shouts out, Virgil van Dijk, absolutely solid at the back. Some people say he's maybe lost half a yard of pace. I don't know. I'm not sure on that, but he doesn't put a foot wrong. He's back to what he was before, all the hassles he's had with his knee and everything. And I do think he was very close second for me personally. And then you get Tsimikas, who gets lambasted all the time because he's not good enough to step up for Robertson. But today, you kind of give him a bit of stick for some of the mistakes he made, and then assist 2 of the goals. It's like maybe we need to just knock him a little bit more. He might just improve more and more week in. But I'd go with Darwin, and then a close second would be Virgil for me.
Yeah, solid choices there. And Tsimikas shouts, it's a nice one as well. Maybe we should keep knocking on him. Seems like the player who would take that, be angry, and put in performance. Dan, who's your man of the match, and any other shout outs and why?
Yeah, I'm going to say again, to try it safe with the fact is, but again, they stood out. It was Nunez, just from what he was for the first 60 minutes. He was absolutely fantastic. He was constantly involved in everything that was positive about us going forward. He has this amazing ability to, as you say, he can miss sitters or you can miss things which you think, how has he done that? But he never lets anything mentally get to him. He's genuinely must just have one thought train going through his head all the time of, I'm just going to score again. It's all right. I'll have another go. And that's what he's done today. He's not pulled a face. He's worked hard. I think prior to our goal, when he outworks Tsimikas, just for that tackle he puts in on Mbeumo, just to put something in there, just shows what he's made of, and how he's come under so much criticism over last season and even going forward now. And he just seems to just ride it and keeps going and keeps going. We're onto a real gem. And on another day, he's got 2 goals to his name plus an assist, and it's an easy one for us to choose. Tsimikas, the only side is he great from the assist, absolutely fantastic from the assist. It's just at times he just shows he's the reason why we all miss Robbo so much, and why it's difficult to find a player who's happy to sit on the bench for most of the season as a second choice. But then when we asked them to come into the team, to be able to kind of replicate what we're used to, and you can replicate some of it, you're just not capable of replicating the whole package at the moment. Defensively is the issue for me. So yeah, Darwin Nunez easily. Salah, just for being Mo Salah, for being the goal scorer. He doesn't have to have a 9 out of 10 game to somehow score 2 goals. So yeah, dead pleased. Good team performance. And then going into defence wise, I think Matip, just for his reaction to his yellow card, which, by the way, is how I will react to absolutely every inconvenience going forward in life, because that's how we should do. If anyone hasn't seen the game, please just watch Matip, because that's him. That's literally the man, the legend that is Joel Matip. So yeah, Joel Matip, just for his reaction as well, he's up there.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. Sure to go on Twitter and all the viral feeds, and I'm sure the team as well will give him a bit of stick in the locker room for that. But yeah, Nunez, yeah, can't fault his can only hype up his tenacity. Give him a lot of credit for that. I can be a critic of him. Yeah, I get frustrated when he'll miss a goal, but one thing I'll always give credit players for is like the tenacity and the hunger and the drive, because I think that's the important kind of intangibles that you love to see in players and make you root for them each game. But and yeah, and Salah and Allison, I feel like they perform for us almost every single match. It's almost expecting them to, Salah to score, or create, or Allison to come up with a big save. And thankfully, we have them in their team. But Aaron, wrapping it up with you, who is your man of the match, and any other shout outs and why?
Yeah, I'll probably just give it to Virgil just over Nunez. I thought Nunez first half was electric, but towards the end of the game, I think Van Dijk was needed a lot more. I think Brentford are a good side. We were going to come under that pressure at some point. They are a very good team and well coached. I think Thomas Frank's a great manager, but with that, period where I think they had like 6 corners in a couple of minutes and stuff, he was there every time. And even during that period, they didn't really have a clear-cut opportunity. I think the only one was that Mbeumo one in the first half, but throughout that period where we were put under that bit of pressure, Van Dijk, I think he just he puts, like he always does, he puts it to bed before, it gets to that point of, being a real issue. But Alisson again makes a couple of good saves, but that's why he's the best keeper in the world, and we're so lucky to have him. You see people on Twitter, especially last season, saying, how he overperforms his expected saves and all this, and how Liverpool would be 10th without him and stuff, but he's there. He's a goalkeeper. It's what he's there for. So we're very lucky to have Alisson. Again, yeah, like you said, it's expected. And then Salah, I'm quite happy with these Salah performances in the sense of he's not putting the team on his back and, with a 10 out of 10 performance and dragging us to a win. He's there being clinical in the box where he should be, because he's a goal scorer and up there with the best at that. So I think the more of these performances we can get in and around Salah, giving him those opportunities, it's just going to extend his career, I think, at this level where all he has to do is be in the right place at the right time, and he's going to put it away, and he'll put multiple away a game because he's just that good. So I think having Darwin, I think, is obviously the perfect player to, get the best out of Salah in that sense, because he's going to run all day and he's never going to stop. And then Jota, again, yeah, people say he has these 5, 6 out of 10 performances, but like, I don't really care as long as he keeps putting the ball in the net. That's what wins games. So he gets his goal as he usually does. But I'll just give it to Virgil just because I think that second half was a real captain's performance.
Yeah, I agree with you. He might be mine as well. King said earlier, people are slating off Virgil, saying he's gone, he's past it, his legs are gone. But I think he said he's looking calm again, like just the composure levels when he plays, especially highlighted in today's game. He just dealt with everything so professionally and so calmly. So, yeah, wrapping up the stream. Great way to sign off before the international break, as Base Flower said. We got Man City when we come back, so that'll be bright and early for me. But thank you all for joining. We really appreciate you in the chat, contributing and viewing the streams. We put this all in for you. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Stream live every day. There will be another stream later today as well. And just thanks to Kings, Dan, and Aaron for joining the stream. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everyone.